does this decision impact not only on Al Jazeera, the rest of Palestine and Israel as well? Because they too consume news, they too are dependent on understanding just exactly what is playing out in your part of the world.
First of all, let me tell you that, in my view, it's a shameful decision. It is shameful from so many aspects, but above all, it's shutting down an important media organization which we all trust and has its own problems. But believe me, the propaganda in Israeli media is no less and many times much more than in Al Jazeera. Having said this, to your question, Israel had closed the Gaza Strip. No Western journalist, no international journalist made it into Gaza. No Israeli journalist made it into Gaza unless you go with the soldiers. And Al Jazeera is a very important source of information, for example, for people like me. As a consumer, as a viewer, I can tell you that it was vital in this war for me to watch Al Jazeera, because in Israel you see nothing from Gaza, only the soldiers and the hostages and the soldiers. You see nothing about the suffer of Gaza. Al Jazeera supplied it, and now they are closing it down.
I just want to take a different aspect to this discussion that we're having this morning. We will go to the Al Jazeera shutdown in a minute or two. You've raised a very, very important issue there by suggesting the only thing, the propaganda machine obviously is an overdrive in Israel, and the only news that is being consumed by the Israelis is obviously the successes of the Israeli Defense Force. I don't think, from what you're telling me, that the Israeli people are even subject to even a fraction of the atrocities being perpetrated on the people of Gaza and other areas of Palestine. Do you think if they were exposed to all of that, the situation would have been different, that there would be a much bigger outcry by sensible Jewish people, by humanitarians? We all have humanity within us. And those Jewish people like yourself would then tell the government, whether they do it or not, but stop, not in our name. What is happening now is totally inhumane.
You know, Julie, this question I'm asking myself ever since the occupation is around and the apartheid, because same question should be also asked about, would more Israelis know what is happening in the occupied territories before this war? Would they know what is being done on their behalf, on their name? Would they have really see the atrocities, the crimes, the daily reality? Maybe some of them would have changed their mind. So my answer is part and part. Part of the Israelis are so brainwashed and so racist that they couldn't care less about the fate of the Palestinians. This became much stronger after the 7th of October, because what happened on the 7th of October was lightning a new fire of hatred toward the Palestinians and lack of care toward the Palestinians. And most of the Israelis say now, it is none of our business. We have no empathy to Gaza whatsoever. But yes, there is still a part of Israelis who I believe would have changed its mind if they only knew, if they only saw, if they only experienced what the people of Gaza are experiencing in the last 7 months.
Well, Gaza has been literally flattened from all of the coverage that we've seen all around the world by other mainstream media organizations, Al Jazeera and other such organizations. In your mind, what do you believe is going to happen post the genocide? If and when it ends, people are speculating it's going to end in the next several months. some people are suggesting that it's going to be years before we see an end to this craziness that's playing out there. Once, please God, once all of this madness stops, in your view and in the view of like-minded Israeli people and like-minded people all around the world, what do you believe is then going to happen regarding the Palestinian people's plight? Is Gaza going to be rebuilt? Are the people going to be allowed to come back and start rebuilding their lives? And I know that it's going to take years and years and years of truly hard work. And the all-important question, who is going to carry the cost of the rebuilding of Palestinian lives?
It depends much on the devotion and the willingness of the international community. The international community will decide about the future of Gaza, can decide about the future of Gaza, like, by the way, could decide about the future of Palestine. The occupation is something that the international community could have put an end to long time ago.
Absolutely.
Would they just treat the second apartheid state like the first apartheid state, your country? We would have seen it falling long time ago. The fact that the world let it go, and when I say the world, it's fortunately or unfortunately, first of all, the United States, and then the EU and others, but first of all, the United States, which Israel is depending on like never before. The United States could have changed the situation and can change now the future of Gaza. My fear is that very soon Gaza will be forgotten again. Once the fighting will stop, there will be some kind of rehabilitation. People will be able to get back because they have no other place to go, not because of the goodwill of Israel, because if it depends on Israel, Gaza would become empty from Palestinians and Israel would have pushed all of them into Egypt. But this is impossible. Egypt will not let it happen. And therefore, Gaza will remain heavily populated and people will get back to the ruins of their homes. And there will be some international aid to rebuild Gaza until the next war, until the next attack, until the next genocide. We have no guarantee that this was the last one.
Okay, Gideon Levy, we're going for an ad break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the suppression of free press by the Israelis. So please do stay with us.
Moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Searching for elite local and international investment and advisory services from an award-winning firm? Look no further than the Belmont Mayer Group, your gateway to unparalleled investment and wealth management. At Belmont Mayer, we believe in the art of wealth creation, a meticulous process fueled by our unwavering commitment to excellence. With a focus on providing elite alternative investments and quality advice, we also pride ourselves on maximizing value for our esteemed investors, as seen through our consistent outperformance. Your financial success is our top priority. Join us at Belmont Mayer and experience the difference firsthand. Ready to embark on a journey of greatness? Contact us today. Reach out to the Belmont Mayer Group on 078 786 1698. Call or WhatsApp or email us at info@belmontmayer.com. Elevate your financial future with Belmont Mayer, where every detail matters. Contact Lenasia Livestock and Poultry for all your Sadaqah, Akika and Qurbani requirements. We offer clean, hygienic abattoir style and refrigeration facilities. Sheep, goats and cows are available at competitive market-related prices, direct to the public. We slaughter, slice and distribute on your behalf. But that's not all. Introducing Meat Masters Halal Butchery, our sister company situated on our farm in Lenasia. Unbeatable prices on lamb, beef and chicken. Lenasia Livestock and Poultry. Livestock is our business. We are Sanha approved. Telephone 011 857 1774. Call now.
After the recent attacks on Gaza, many families have been displaced with their homes left destroyed. Through your donations, our teams are on the ground in Gaza, providing support and delivering necessary aid to families affected. The people of Gaza need your help. Give hope. Donate today to Penny Appeal South Africa. www.pennyappeal.org.za 031 1100 573.
We are here on the ground with many appeal organizations in Gaza.
You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Welcome back. It is exactly 17 after 8 o'clock. We are talking with Gideon Levy. He's a columnist at the Israeli newspaper Haaretz. We're talking about Al Jazeera being banned from covering news in Israel and Gaza for that matter. And up to now, we also know that over 140 Palestinian journalists have been killed since the start of the genocide on the Palestinian people. Gideon, how does that impact on you and other like-minded journalists and also medical professionals in Israel?
Most of them are totally apathetic, indifferent. Part of them even don't bother to know the figures. But in any case, even the closure of Al Jazeera, most of the Israeli journalists seem to be very content about it. And there was no real protest except of my newspaper, who wrote today the leader against it and some other pieces against it. Israeli media is very happy from the step and supports it. For them, any Palestinian is finally a terrorist, including the journalists who are terrorists, and therefore that's part of the war against Hamas, includes also closing such an important outlet like Al Jazeera.
As a columnist yourself, undoubtedly you also consume and have consumed news by Al Jazeera and other publications from all around the world, other media outlets from all around the world, to make comparisons and just to see and to test the propaganda machines, whether it's leftist or rightist. Is this going to have a huge impact on the journalistic world? People like yourself, as you've just indicated, it's not going to matter to the Israeli people, but how's it going to impact overall? And your situation, I've heard that you're the most hated journalist in Israel. How does it impact on your work? Are you being censored as well? And are you afraid that you might be shut down?
So first of all, I don't think that the practical impact will be so dramatic, because there are so many ways today. If you want to get the information, if you want to watch Al Jazeera, you can do it. I mean, there's no way totally to block it, I hope. I'm not a technical expert, but I know there will be ways to watch Al Jazeera. This will not stop. But it's much more the symbolic meaning of this step. And as for me, I don't take it for granted. I'm not censored at all. I have full freedom thanks to my newspaper, which is a well-established newspaper. But I don't take it for granted, and things can change. And Al Jazeera can be a first step, and will be a first step if it will not be stopped on time. And after this, I mean, what is the explanation for closing Al Jazeera? that Al Jazeera is criticizing Israel. So I'm criticizing no less Israel, and I might be the next one, not me personally, my newspaper, other journalists. Once you start it, you never know how it will end.
Let me share a comment by Netanyahu. He announced the decision of shutting down Al Jazeera on X, which we know is formerly Twitter, and I quote, "The government headed by me unanimously decided the incitement channel Al Jazeera will be closed in Israel." So that was his comments. At this point, has it closed down already? And has there been any reaction, meaningful reaction, that you feel might possibly change his mind and allow Al Jazeera to continue doing coverage in your part of the world?
The police raided already their offices and took some of their equipment yesterday. I can still watch Al Jazeera. The reporters are still here. I guess they will lose their press cards and they will be limited in the way they can work. Nobody knows. I don't see what can stop it now. I guess there will be an appeal to the Supreme Court, but I don't see the Supreme Court intervening because they did it according to the law. I mean, they brought a report from the Israeli Secret Services claiming that Al Jazeera is damaging the security of Israel. And once you say this, you know it from the history of your country, then you can do whatever you want. And I don't see the Supreme Court intervening here. Julie, I just have to apologize because my time is very short and I have to leave very, very soon. So let's do
very
one more
quickly.
question. Yes.
Very quickly. Okay. Do we know how many journalists or staff of Al Jazeera are impacted by the closure of their offices in Israel and their nationalities? And will it also mean that if they're not Israelis and if they're Palestinians or other nationalities, they'll be repatriated immediately?
This I don't know. It's a good question, but you should ask it the people of Al Jazeera. I know most of the reporters, part of them are internationals, part of them are Palestinians. They have obviously staff also in the West Bank, local and international. And it's a good question. Will they let them stay here? I mean, with the Palestinians, they can't do anything. By the way, part of them are Israeli Palestinians who have Israeli citizenship. So they for sure cannot be sent away. They will stay here. But how will it look? Where will it go? I'm also quite worried that even the United States didn't say a word until now about it. And it worries me a lot because if this will pass so smoothly, then the next steps of shutting mouths will come.
Thank you indeed for your time and absolute pleasure talking with you. Please keep safe and I do look forward to having more discussions with you in the future. God bless.
Wonderful. Thank you, Julie, for having me. Bye-bye.
Hi, that was Gideon Levy from the newspaper Haaretz, based in Israel, talking to us about the closure of Al Jazeera, not the closure, the shutdown by Netanyahu and his government, because they claim that obviously, they claiming that Al Jazeera is inciting articles, and they are a security threat to Israel. So that's the reason why they have shut down Al Jazeera in Israel and Palestine. Hopefully we will be able to have more discussions with Gideon Levy in the future. He is the owner of the newspaper Haaretz. It is exactly 8:25. News and views on Salam Media. We're moving along. Let me tell you what else we've got lined up on the show this morning. It is 25 after 8 o'clock, and we will be talking much, much later, of course, with Muaz Kasu, president of Sahuk, and we're going to be looking at the readiness of Hajj 2024. Also on the show, we'll talk with Faisal Musa from the MK Party, their manifesto, and his views on the upcoming election. Ali Murda, born in Robiri, Lebanon in 1994, during a period marked by significant events that deeply influence the course of his life, is going to talk to us about Palestinians living outside of Palestine and how this genocide is impacting on them. On the top of the hour, as always, Zaid Jadwit with the news, and coming up a little later on this show, we'll talk with Business Leadership South Africa CEO and board member of Business Unity South Africa, Pusisiwe Mavuso. All of that and more coming up on the show. Please do become a part of the conversation.
Yes,